with laughs and debates, the love never done.
Welcome back to Yorkshire For A Saint podcast, powered by Acorn Joinery Leeds. We're joined by Sheffield halfback Jordan Lilley. Jordan, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm alright, mate. Yeah, how are you doing? Alright.
Aye, not bad, not bad. Off you go, Karl.
Right then. Yep, sorry about that. I'm just reading some notes there. Jordan, first of all, Lily, sorry, first of all, give us a bit of a note of what your season looks like so far, mate. I know you've only played a handful of games, but where are you at with things, and how do you think it's going so far?
So far, so good. Currently 3 from 3 unbeaten in the league. Probably haven't really got out of second gear either in them games. So as a whole, we're sat in a pretty positive position as a new team, really, because obviously we're at Bradford for 9 years and obviously moved over to Sheffield now, and I think there's 12 or 13 new signings at Sheffield, so it's a bit like at Bradford where they've had a big transition and a big influx of players, so that takes time to gel. But the first sort of 3-4 games of the year we've played all right. We've kind of sort of played well in patches, but not put an 80-minute performance together, and still managed to get results against some tough opponents. Last week we obviously we played Barrow, beat Barrow at home, which are never an easy side to play. And then obviously last week got the win as well. So yeah, as a whole, pretty positive, mate. And I'm enjoying my rugby and enjoying sort of playing. We had a Challenge Cup game against Warrington, which were obviously a tough draw, and as a whole in that game, I thought we held a zone as a championship club with no expectations of us going in there to win. No one sort of put us up there to get anywhere near them, and going into the break, I think we conceded with 30 seconds left on the half that took it at 16-6 at half time, which if we hadn't conceded that, it'd have been 10-6 and looked a whole lot different. So as a summary, we're looking kind of all right, and keep building. We've got a big game against Rochdale this week to keep the momentum going, and hopefully we can do it justice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's
could I
it.
just ask there, because the Super League sides were meant to get the away tie. How'd that end up being switched around to Sheffield playing at Warrington?
I think it was more to do with the fan base. I think it got switched around. So obviously Halliwell Jones holds a lot more than the Sheffield ground. So I think they swapped it round to sort of maximise what they could make for the game. Which I know some Warrington fans were a bit disappointed because they obviously wanted to try out a new ground, but I think as a financial thing for Sheffield, it were better swapping the fixture around, and I think there were 4,000 there that day, whereas I think the OPL only holds 1,500 to 2,000. So
No, it makes sense, man.
as a whole, they swapped it as a financial thing, and good for us. It's obviously a really nice pitch, the Halliwell Jones, and it's quite a hostile crowd as well, which I love. So yeah, we're good.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, you mentioned a second ago, Lil, about 12 or 13 new players coming in. Obviously, we know Craig Lingard's an experienced coach, mate. Was it quite easy for them boys to sort of integrate in with the likes of yourself and other experienced players around that, or has Craig really come to the fore, bringing them in?
Yeah, I think obviously when you come together as a new team, you're kind of not going in as the only one that don't know what sort of the calls and the plays. So it kind of makes it a bit easier because everyone's on the same page of sort of not knowing the plays, the systems, the structures, and you get to really sit in detail and go through that. And we've had probably the shortest pre-season I've ever had since I've been playing the game. We didn't have long at all. We started the year on January the 18th this year, which is crazy. So I think we only had maybe 6-7 weeks pre-season, which it sounds a long time, but it's not a long time to get your body in a physical shape to go out and play ultimately. So I think Craig and the team that he's got, and in Craig Cuby, Michael Piper. They're doing a great job of getting the lads together and the lads understanding the system. We sort of simplified everything at the start for everyone to understand, and as we're going on now and as we're progressing through games, game plans change, ways of playing changes, and you sort of see the strike you've got in the team, and you try and play to that, which we're ultimately trying to do, and hopefully this week against Rochdale we can put some of them things together, and people will start to see it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, just one thing one thing I wanted to ask, mate. It might make a few of our listeners laugh a little bit, but what's the crack behind Craig Lingard not wearing shoes? I've always wanted to know that answer, mate. Just before we move on to your personal career.
Do you know what? I actually don't know. And I have this conversation with him quite regular because I say, Craig, why have you not got your shoes on? But he's never really given me an answer. He just likes to walk around either barefoot or in his flip flops. But the first time this year he couldn't wear them. We're at Whitehaven away, first game of the year, when it was like playing on a cow field, and he just physically couldn't get his flip flops on. So yeah, I might have to find that out for you and figure out why. I've never really found out why. I always just keep asking him, are they coming back out? And he says it's nearly time, Jordan, to bring them back out. And last week he had them back out. So yeah, funny one.
Probably just like a mad
Yeah.
rugby superstition sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
It's just coaches, I think. It's just rugby
Yeah,
league
well,
coaches.
to be fair, you've got to have something wrong with you to want to be a rugby league coach, I suppose. So maybe that's
That's
his
what they say.
maybe that's his venting tactic. We'll never know. But now you're a friend of the podcast, mate. I'm sure you can get us an answer and come back to us.
I'll get you one, don't you worry.
Oh,
Right then, mate. Most important thing is yourself, and we've got you on for this interview to discuss your career, past and present and moving forward. I believe you're a Bramley lad from Leeds, age 26. Is that right?
So Bramley lad, 29, 30 this year. 30,
Oh.
turning the big in September this year. I hit the big 30. I know I don't look it, lads. I know I've still got a baby face. But,
He'll take 26, Carl. He'll take 26.
If you want to tell everyone I'm 26, we'll keep going with that though.
Yeah, well, give us that 10. Give us that tenner later, mate, and we'll be sound, won't we?
Yeah, no, Bramley lads, obviously. Stanley is Stanley with my amateur club, where I started when I was 5-year-old. Obviously, my dad's a massive influence, which you'll get in this podcast, of my career and me getting to where I have, and he ultimately coached me from the age of 5 all the way till I signed. So yeah, family's rugby mad, all the way through from me, my dad, my brother, my uncles, my granddad. We live next to Stanley Park, so where I've just been tonight when I was speaking to you about, I'm just out with my lads and my kids. I've on Stanley Park. We're either flying around in go-karts or kicking goals over at post. So yeah, it's a bit of a crazy one, but yeah, it's been brought into me, bred into me, the rugby, and something I've loved since day one. My kids now play it. They go to rugby tots and kick goals, and they know all the players. And yeah, just went through the system at at Stanley from 5, and then obviously ultimately went to scholarship at Leeds Rhinos.
I do know
Yeah,
that park
so
very well, to be fair.
Yeah, you're a
I have
Leeds lad,
played on
Jordan,
there.
so you'll know.
I have played, because I did play for Stanley a long time ago. I did play on that park a couple of times. And my dad literally lives over the road, so
Oh really?
yeah, so I do know it very well.
It's all right down there. It's
Yeah, it's
if you know where you're going, you're all right. If you
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
it's quite
no.
rough.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be fair.
It's lovely, yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
it.
so that's obviously where I was brought up, played at Stanley, and then as I said, went to at 13, went to scholarship at Leeds Rhinos, and that's kind of where the professional career, if you want to say, started. But throwing it back to the Stanley days, we had a bit of a super team at Stanley, and
Yeah,
the likes of Ashton Golding was my best mate. He obviously played in that side. Brandon Douglas, who's now at Bradford, he played in the same team, and there's quite a lot of players in that team that don't play now, which is a shame. But yeah, we had a. I can safely say that team was one of the best teams I've ever played in. We won every sort of trophy we could. We
you did.
Yorkshire Cups, national cups. We won we won national cup at both ages you could win it at, and sort of claimed ourselves as the best team, which is something I'm quite proud of, and nice to do it with my dad as head coach, and do it for him. And he's obviously a big big thing in my career of who I am and why I am where I am. So yeah, credit to him.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
wanting
good.
to get sorry, Carl.
No,
I
go on,
reached
pal.
out
You're
to
all right.
I reached out to Ashton because I did want Ashton on here as well because he's very clued up into about his rugby.
He is, yeah.
Definitely got a lot about him. Definitely, I've seen him in interviews and stuff, and I have wanted him on here to be fair. So there's still time.
Yeah, no, I'll do my best to try and get him on there. For he's the busiest man in the world, and even as his best
Is
friend,
he?
I still can't get hold of him. Yeah. So
Not a bad
to be
thing,
fair,
mate. Not a bad thing.
to be fair to him, is he does a lot to give back. So me and Ashton used to coach. Obviously, we went on to his professional careers, which we talked about, but we'll talk about. But we used to coach Stanley first team. We used to coach the open age together.
All right, okay.
And we did that. We did that for 3 years together. And Ashton still continually coaches the first team now, 5 years on or 6
Oh, wow.
years on. I had obviously had to stop because we both had kids, but the training days didn't. Obviously, I obviously fell into the part-time environment, and Ashton
Yeah.
stayed full-time. So the part-time Stanley trained Tuesday, Thursday, and my training days were Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday when we were obviously training. So I couldn't commit, and unfortunately I had to give it up. But he does a lot to give back, does Ashton, and still does it now to this day. So yeah, but I'll do my best. I'll try and get him on the podcast for you, and
No,
we'll have
appreciate
a
that.
word
Thank
with
you.
him. Yeah, he's quite the man. He's a weird bloke, but he's a good bloke.
Yeah, we
Hey,
played
you can
rugby
tell
league,
your
don't you?
best friends because that's what we all say about our mates, don't we?
Oh yeah,
We
definitely.
do.
Just going back to your amateur career, was you at the same club through all the age groups, and did that sort of make it easier for you to stay together because you was winning a lot of things?
Yeah, we had we more or less had the same team from sort of being 5 6 year old. So all parents were friends, and we were all mates off the field. And the likes of Brandon Douglas, they're obviously, which is a funny one because they're all Halifax lads, and they ended up at Stanley, and it's because West Bowling, where they were at, ended up folding, and they wanted to go to a club that was. Which it says a lot about the club that we had and the team that we had, because they wanted to go to a team that were striving to win things, and they heard about Stanley, and sort of they all come up. There were 3 or 4 of them that sort of come across and bolstered the team we already had and probably added to what we needed. And yeah, it was good. Looking back there, they were the days. They were the days, and I do miss them. The days where you just run free, not caring the world, and run around with your mates. So we've got some got some good memories with them, and some really good days. So yeah, I suppose it probably did help that we were kind of all together from a very young age, and I still speak to a lot of them now, and when you walk past them, it's like you've never been away.
Have you I've got a few names. Have you did you play with Ross Peel?
Ross Peel's I think he's about 4 years older than me.
Oh, is it?
Ross
Is
Peel
my
and
age?
he's a bit older than me. Yeah.
Yeah, so he were in my team. Jordan Raper,
Yeah, they're a bit older. Yeah.
Jordan McCann.
Yeah.
Jordan, showing your age now, Jordan.
I know these are who I played with. But you'll know Clive Raper, won't you?
I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
Yeah. He was my coach. He was my coach
Okay.
when I played.
Not small, isn't it? Small world.
Yeah, it is a small world. Yeah, definitely.
That's it, mate. You said there,
Yeah,
obviously,
my
you
age,
stayed
I'll
with
tell
the
you, I
same.
play with in school, buddy James Robber. I'm showing my age now.
Hey, guys, we won't talk about man your age.
I'm the baby. I'm the baby at Pod. We know this.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So, anyway, moving on, Lil. Obviously, you grew up with a lot of same players as you've just said in your amateur team. I mean, when you was sort of coming through when you was at Leeds and all that, was anybody you looked up to or thought you could model your game on or anything like that? Because we have a lot of players coming on and saying, "Oh, you wanted to be Billy Slater and them type of guy, Cameron Smith, etc." Is there anybody that you model your game on? When you come through at Leeds.
Yeah, well, I think I was. You could say it was very fortunate and at the same time very unlucky to come through at a time where it was a golden generation.
Yeah.
The team they had were phenomenal, and it speaks for itself with everything they won. So when I've looked back at it, I think, wow, what people to learn off, and the stuff that I learned off the types of people, Kevin Sinfield, Rob Burrows, Danny Maguire's, them sort of players to come through and have them as like my mentors and someone to help me were phenomenal. It wasn't too it wasn't too good in terms of trying to get into the team because it were, obviously
double-edged sword, mate. That one.
These were some questions I was going to ask.
Yeah, it were hard. It were difficult. It was frustrating, but I understood why.
Yeah.
Because they were phenomenal players. Rob and Magsy were probably different type of players to me. I'm not the quickest player in the world. They're obviously two really good support players, score a lot of tries. So if you wanted to say anyone, Kev with his kicking game and his sort of getting people around the park were kind of what I looked at as my kind of game. Not being the fastest player in the world, not the best feet, but just could think through a game and kick the ball pretty well. So I'd probably say Kev was somebody that I kind of moulded my game on. As the years went on, I tried to, from conversations I had with Brian Mack, he wanted me to sort of be more like the Danny Maguire's and sort of the support player, which I've always struggled with in my career because I've always been that player that, is thinking 2 or 3 players ahead and what play we're going and where we're going at and thinking for the play 5 kick where I'm going to put it. Whereas them type of players are thinking on the go and they've shifted the ball left and they're already running. Danny Maguire was phenomenal. They'd shift the ball and he used to run up the middle of the field. And my dad to this day still says to me, when the ball's gone, run up the middle of the field. And I always forget and he always shouts at me after the game. So, yeah,
Even now.
Even now, yeah. So fortunate in terms of I got to learn off them types of players. Jonathan Thurston were always, and some of my mates who might listen to this will laugh because it's like the claim to fame is this one. But Jonathan Thurston were always someone I looked up to and watched on the TV, and again, sort of wanted to be like Jonathan Thurston. And obviously, I was lucky enough in the Leeds days to play in the World Club Challenge against him, which was something to this day that's probably the best achievement yet. I got to play against someone that I'd looked up to for many years.
All the questions here.
Yeah,
I know,
sorry.
yeah.
What you realise about me is I talk a lot, so I'll probably answer.
No, these are questions
No,
I want to ask
that's
you.
good for us. That's good for us, mate. We'd have to talk too much then.
I was going to ask you. Because we've spoke about it before, and I've got this great respect for you in the fact of this golden generation that Leeds had. Like you said, it was very, very difficult to get in, and it is. I really do feel for you because you never had that kind of. I always felt you never had that kind of chance to get to your full potential at Leeds because of the people you were playing with. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is that year that old golden generation kind of went. So like 2015 and 2016, when you played in that World Cup Challenge, you kind of stepped up then, didn't you? And were that like main player? Because how did it feel then playing against Jonathan Thurston and that game itself?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was a bit of a pinch me moment. It was a sort of a proud moment for my family, and it was something that you think, I can sit back now and I'm able to tell my kids about, I've played in a World Cup Challenge and I've done them sort of things, what many people, aspire to do and dream to do. Even though I didn't quite fulfill everything I wanted to do at Leeds and in Super League, I got that one that no one can take away from me. And, it was phenomenal. The only thing I'll say about it is I asked him for his shirt after the game and he didn't give me it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't give me it. So that's the only thing that still to this day didn't get a shirt. So I got Lachlan Coots. He gave me his instead. So
am I right? Am I right to understand that? Did we score one try, and you kicked it from touchline, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, and I almost got. They ended up running away with it in the end, but I think it were about 16-6 or something, and I threw a show and go and nearly went through, and I thought I'd scored, and I got held up on line and then they run away with it after that. But that's the game. That's the game that one of my who a good friend at Leeds, Mitch Garber. That's when he punched.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that other week, didn't you, Gaz?
Yeah,
absolutely. Applauded him.
Yeah.
That was your biggest World Club Challenge moment, Gaz.
It was,
Yeah.
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 You know what? And it were a very unexpected because if you've met Mitch Garber, I don't know if any of you have, but he's the nicest bloke you'll ever meet in your life, and he's like one of them. He's like a huggable bear that
Yeah,
wouldn't
a
hurt a
big teddy
fly.
bear.
And I never knew he could punch like that, but wow, he didn't miss. And I want, if you watch me on that video, I ain't running in and getting anywhere near that. That's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's
Especially size
it's
like James
my
Thomo
pay,
as well.
above my pay grade, that one.
Just taking it back slightly because we've just come off track a little bit there, fellas. But what do you remember about your debut for Rhinos? Am I right in thinking it was against Wakefield in 2015, Jordan?
Wakefield, yeah, mate, yeah, it was against Wakefield. We're 18-year-olds, so it was. I just remember it being a surreal moment. It's sort of, you dream about these moments and then you sort of get to fulfill it. And as I keep going on about my family are sort of I'm a family man, and ultimately it was very nice to be able to. It was nice to see my dad. It was nice to see my dad proud of what I'd achieved, and it was nice to give back to
Yeah.
him for everything that he's done for me. Because, like I says, he's followed me home and away, followed me everywhere, done everything for me. He's my biggest critic. Even now at 29-year-old, I play, and I'm lucky if I could get man at match, kick 10 goals, and I'd come off at field and he'd say, "You played all right, but you should have done this." And it's them, But them moments on my debut when I come off and he gives me a cuddle and says, "I'm proud of you." They're moments that for me that stick.
Yeah.
Not so much the game itself. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but the
No,
game
no,
itself,
no.
it's the moments of having my family there and seeing my family and seeing how much it sort of matters to them. And a big thing for me is even though sort of I still kick myself that I haven't kicked on and managed to go and achieve the Super League dream that I've always wanted. I played a fair few Super League games, but ultimately fell out of it and ended up in part-time rugby. And for different reasons, as we'll probably get on, it's been a good thing because I've set up businesses now and I'm running
Yeah.
my own business and doing my own things away. But I still look at it now and watch the Las Vegas and think, I wish that were me. I wish I were.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, I get that.
I wish I was sort of there, but like I says, I've managed to do little glimpses and make my family proud in some way. And I suppose even now, like I was on the park, I was on Stanley Park earlier with my kids and running around with my kids, and two lads come up to me and they're chatting to me and knew who I am, and that's nice for me that they want to come and talk to me and
Yeah.
ask me questions and ask for pictures. And from a lad from Stanley that still looks at himself as a lad from Stanley that's no better than anyone. It's nice that, and it's nice that I can try inspire one person to go and play rugby, or try and push for the dreams. Then I've been successful in my career. That's ultimately, it's not trophies, it's not how many games I've played. It's that guy that comes up to me and says, "I want to be like Jordan Lilley."
Yeah.
That to me says, I've done what I needed to do. So
That's when you've
yeah.
made it, isn't it?
Carl,
Yeah.
I've just got one more question I want to ask, and then I'm kind of done. Then
You're
Kind
gonna
of.
get yourself off after that, mate.
I'm going to get myself off here. So, just want to ask. I know you kind of briefly went into it, talking about him, but can you just give me a quick sort of brief on Rob Burrow? Because obviously Rob Burrow is, I'm sure he's one of your idols. Obviously we lost him, didn't we, to MND. We're all very much still hurting from it. But actually, as a person himself, what was he like?
Some of the stories he told wouldn't be allowed to be told on a video.
I was gonna say, Lil,
No.
don't get yourself into trouble, mate.
Yeah, no. As a bloke, in the changing rooms, he was a life and soul. It was that one that come in and you'd hear him. As little as he was, his
Yeah.
sort of personality and how his persona, how he come in. He was the life and soul of everything. In training, he was the joker. Rob wasn't really the serious trainer. He was the joker. He was the one that.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
It'd been, it's time to switch on, but it'd be the one in the physio room having a joke, having a laugh, telling stories. But just ultimately as a bloke, he were a top bloke. And I know, everyone says about the legend term, but Rob Burrow was a legend, and
Yeah.
the person he was, and sort of what he did for me. I was coming through at the same time, and even at the bad moments and the times that I was struggling, and my granddad died in 2017, and Rob couldn't be there enough for me and supported me and saw me going through the bad time, even at times when when Leeds told me they weren't keeping me and I moved on. Still messaging me, still have messages from him that of how good he was, asking how I am, and and if I needed anything, any support, he were always there, and he coached me in the academy, and just always wanted the best for me. And I'm very blessed that I was able to know Rob Burrow and I was able to be Rob Burrow's friend.
That's
That's
brilliant. Yeah.
I've got pictures
I
of
love
me
that.
and him at the grand final. Getting pictures together at the grand final and sharing moments like that with him. He's not here anymore. God rest his soul. But I've got that I can take to my grave. That I managed to be his friend, play with him, and learn a lot of things off him on and off the field. So yeah, sad day that when that happened, and
Yeah.
it's a cruel world. But if I know Rob, he'd want us all to be jumping round. He'd want us all to be carrying on, and ultimately making everyone proud and doing what we can.
Yeah,
No, fair play
exactly.
to you, mate. Fair
Exactly
play.
what we are doing to celebrate him, aren't we? So that's
No,
an
brilliant.
outstanding story, that, mate. So
Yeah,
fair
thank
play.
you.
Your career games, Lil. We've got 41 games for the Rhinos, 4 for Hunslet, 5 for Featherstone, 186 for the Bradford Bulls, 1 random game for Leeds Centurions,
Yeah.
5 for the Sheffield Eagles so far. Total of 242, mate. I'm just going to ask you because it's so random. The Lee one. Is
So I
that
actually went.
correct? And how's that come about?
It is correct. I actually went to Lee on loan. So I went on a month loan. The game I played with Halifax, and I got. You might laugh. I got the worst dead leg you've ever seen in that game, which kept me out of action for 6 weeks.
Oh
Oh,
dear.
wow.
Bloody hell.
So everyone used to take mick in training because they were like, "What's up with you? You got a dead leg?" And I ended up going to hospital with it because the thought is something called compartment syndrome, where the pressure in your leg gets that big that they end up having to cut your leg open to
Please,
release the pressure. Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Luckily, it never got to that stage, but my leg ballooned out and I couldn't walk for a good 3-4 weeks.
Jesus.
So that there were meant to be more games at Lee, but I only I only mastered one, and then obviously 4 weeks out, and then they got their half back, so I never played there again. So I've got that one on my record, but yeah, I've played a few. I'm obviously 8 off 250 now in career, so obviously managed to do 150 at Bradford and 200. I got my 200 career appearance last year or year before, so
Hmm.
yeah, it's so far it's fair few games in it, so it's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's a good tally, mate, and obviously it's only going to go up. I mean, when I'm doing a bit of research, I always, if it's just one random game or maybe 2 random games, I always ask because there's normally a story behind that, isn't there? So that's why I
Yeah.
sort of bring that one to the fore. I mean, when you move from Leeds, mate. I mean, I don't want you to go in so much detail and get yourself into any bother. But how did that come around? I know you said, obviously there was the golden era there and all that type of stuff, and it's difficult to get into the team because when you did play, you put good performances in. So how did that
Yeah,
come around, mate?
100%.
It was sort of so I had a 4-year deal. The fourth year was an option in favour of obviously of Leeds. And obviously I played all them games in 2019. I think it was. Might be wrong, but I think it was that. And I think Danny Maguire were out, so I played all year, which were good because I had class bonuses in my deal. I wasn't on the biggest deal in the world, but I had good bonuses and I managed to fulfil them all. So yeah, I played all year that year, and I thought that was sort of the breakthrough year. Obviously, I was close with Magsy and stuff, and he obviously teed up that he was retiring and he were going, and you sit and think, right, it's time now. I'm gonna get that, and you're never given anything in life, but when you sort of the next one in throne, in
Oh, yeah,
throne, I thought,
yeah.
here we go. I've sort of tried to prove myself and hopefully done that, and I'm gonna get that, and the talk were about that, and. Then it come to the end of the year and they signed. I think it was Tuilola here. They signed.
Well, I hear you.
They come on. So they obviously had a big Aussie signing on big money. So I sat down with Kev and he, someone who I'd looked up to as my idol was sort of giving me worst news in the world that my boyhood club. I wasn't going to be staying there anymore and they didn't want me anymore. During all this time, I'd been, so as I said before, my granddad died in 2017, and it got to a stage. It's a funny story actually, because we played in the summer bash. I played in summer bash for Bradford against OKR, and we were beating OKR. We went 6-0 up, I think, and that's when my granddad must have thought they're not going to win this game, so I'm out. So he passed away when we were winning 6-0 against OKR. But yeah, and then after that game, I sort of fell out of love with it, and I didn't really, off the field, I wasn't great. My head wasn't in it. I didn't really want to be there anymore, and didn't want to play rugby anymore. I wasn't playing regular for Leeds, and sort of in the bib team all the time, getting flogged. And I turned around to my dad one day, and I actually was going to retire at, what would I have been, 20, 21 year old. I was going to retire because I just didn't want to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
my dad turned around to me and said, "Jordan, you won't last 10 minutes in a 9 to 5 job, so I suggest you carry on playing." So,
It's one way to keep you in the game.
yeah, so that's one way to keep me in the game. So I ended up, John Keir got wind of the fact that I want enjoy myself, and he gave me a ring up, and I've got I owe John Keir a lot, because he got me sort of back on track and got me down to Bradford and says, "Come and enjoy your rugby with me, I'll get you back into it." And I ended up obviously sort of going there, played there for a bit, and we actually drew Leeds in the Challenge Cup, and that was the week I found out that they weren't keeping me on my option year. So funnily enough, I found out on the week we were playing them that obviously they weren't keeping me, and you could say
you beat them, didn't you?
I beat him and got man at match.
Yeah,
So
I remember.
it
Yeah,
were
I remember.
it were like a story you couldn't have writ.
Yeah, I
Obviously
remember.
we probably caught Leeds at a good time. They weren't going through the
Yeah.
best time with what they were going. We obviously played all right that game, and managed to sneak the win. But yeah, that's kind of up there, one of the best moments. Not because I beat my boyhood club, but just with everything that were going on, it was kind of something that I needed. And obviously then moving from that, obviously finding out they didn't want me, and then I signed at Bradford, and never really looked back since. Obviously, can't have done, because I spent obviously 9 years there. And then the roller coaster started again when I thought I'd finally got, obviously I thought I would get my chance at Leeds and the Super League dream there, and that got binned off. And then I went down to League One with Bradford, and the goal that I set myself at the start with Bradford was I wanted to get Bradford back in Super League and be part of that team that goes into Super League with Bradford. And I get to a stage where I thought, right, I've done it now. I've got us there. I've been in 9 years. I've battled from League One minus 12 points, and we've got all the way back up, and we've now got into Super League. And then I get told that they don't want me there either. So I'm not at Sheffield now. So
I didn't want to ask that question because I thought you might have got in trouble, but
no,
Well,
to be
what
fair,
I was going to ask.
I can talk about it all, because it's all common knowledge. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything out of turn, and
yeah.
it's all.
Yeah,
Come on, guys.
I do want to ask. So, what's it like? So, you're saying you get to Bradford minus 12 points in League One. What was it like, sort of being like a linchpin player, taking it from there to like playoff situations in the Championship?
I suppose it was. It were good. Obviously we went from minus 12 in. Sorry, lads, I'm just putting my phone on charge. I just seen that it were dying.
All right, fine.
I didn't want it to die on you.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry, lads.
So, obviously, you go to Bradford. They're on minus 12 points in League One, and being one of like the linchpin players, as the team's been built around you, you've got yourself up from there to the Championship, then towards playoff situation. Then obviously, no, finishing third. How did that feel again from where you were to where you got to?
Oh, it were good. You set these goals when you're sort of doing it. We were on minus 12 when I first went to Bradford, and we actually had a off subject, but we had a zero party when we got there, because it were that many games we had to win to get there. But yeah, it were good. When you look at, I'm proud to say that I was part of the team that's got Bradford back there. Part of the squad that managed to get Bradford back to Super League and where they are now. So that's something I can hold on my resume, that I've done that. And I suppose I'm proud, because I've seen where Bradford were. I've seen where they've been in the dive, and they've been in the Super League, and they've got to where they've got to. So I'm proud to say that I was part of the team that's got Bradford back there. I've seen where Bradford were. I've seen where Bradford were. I've seen where they've been in the dive, and they've the players not getting paid, directors that are not there for the right reasons, and not paying the players when they should be, and stuff like that. So to see him from that to where it is now, where the club's in an absolutely, I couldn't tell you, it couldn't be any better place than it is now. The directors, I couldn't speak more highly of the directors that are there now. They've all been great with me. Obviously circumstances that the war of obviously leaving, still contact me, still come to my cafe and sit and have a coffee with me, and still offer me to come to the game to watch and sit in the box and stuff like that. So the directors that are there, they've got some money, they're pumping their own money into it to get the stadium as good as they can. And I suppose to sort of home back in on your question, I'm just proud. It feels good to be able to say that. Ultimately, I'm disappointed that I'm not still there, and I'm not doing the Super League dream again. But to like, I went to the opener, the home game against Catalan, the first game, and I suppose I was just proud to stand in. I wasn't on the field, but I was sat nice and warm in a box, so it were a bit different. But I was sat there and I was watching, and I just took it all in, thinking that I were a small little cog in sort of getting them back there, and to see also packed with 9,000, 10,000 fans again is phenomenal. And as I said, regardless of the situation, I don't hold any hard feelings against Bradford, and I'll always be a Bradford. My son, I couldn't get away from Bradford because my son's a diehard Bradford fan, and he knows that
there you go.
our Reggie and Rain, they're diehard Bradford fans, and all they do is, Daddy, we're watching Bradford today. I'm like, Daddy's playing for Sheffield. Nope, Daddy, I want to watch Bradford. So can't really get away from it.
So I was just going to ask Jordan or Lily. So going on to with Leeds, because obviously, I was saying earlier that I felt for you. I think at the time with that, because obviously it wasn't just yourself. You've got your likes of Ashton, Jack Walker, all sort of in the same position where, Jack Walker has been struggling to find a club. Ashton's obviously gone from, it went from Huddersfield to Castleford. Obviously there's a lot of moving about and stuff. But when you actually look back at the Rhinos, how many halfbacks they've had since Burrow and Maguire, it's one of those things where I kind of would look back and go, it probably did you a favour, because Leeds going through that transitional period, I'm sure obviously you'll know this, but they went through it nearly every season. They got to playoffs last season for first time in I think 6 seasons or something like that.
Yeah.
The amount of halfbacks they've had, what is it? Austin, Caesar, Joel Moon went there, didn't he, for a season?
Yeah.
Tolo Heyer, Robert Louis. It's one of those, and could you look back now and kind of see that and go, I'm probably glad that I weren't kind of in the mix there, because they didn't stay, did they? They did just kind of.
No, yeah. Part of me thinks, obviously, it sexually. Part of me wishes, like, wouldn't have changed anything in terms of, as I said before, the calibre of players that I had in front of me and the stuff I learned, not just on the field, but the morals off the field, the way to conduct yourself, what a rugby player should look like, what a rugby player should do away from the field. Watching, what Danny Maguire, Rob Burrow, Kevin Sinfield, Jamie Peacock, Kylie Luluai, all them types of players, how professional they were off the field. It set me in good stead at 29 now, when I'm probably one of the older ones in the Sheffield team. And we've got a lot of young lads, and I'm trying to then, I'm trying to put what I've learned through them lot on the young lads coming through, and sort of setting standards of what we expect and what's not good enough and what we should do. Yeah, it's part time, so you can't be too full on like you are in Super League, because a lot of them are working at the same time, but to the same degree, we're there to do a job, and we're getting paid to do a job. So we should conduct ourselves in the right manner. So yeah, to answer your question, part of me wouldn't change anything. Part of me thinks if I had been that, then I might have got more of a chance and more of a shot to sort of play a lot more, which puts you in the shop window to sort of go in and say you can do it at that level. The problem I have at the minute is I were at Bradford in the champ for so many years, and sort of probably played every position that they wanted me to play.
I noticed that you were at hooker a while, weren't you?
Yeah, which
Played hooker, didn't you?
It didn't really set me in good stead in terms of when I get to come in, because I'm an out and out seven, and I always have been an out and out
Yeah, you
seven.
are. Yeah.
And he probably coming in looking at the squad has seen me playing 9, got the 9 shirt, and thinks I'm a 9, and I'm 83 kilos or something, and I was playing in the middle against big boys, and I did my job and I tried my best, which it's one thing no one can ever take away from me. Whenever they watch me play, whether you think I played good or terrible or I'm not good enough, I go out on that field and I give 110%, and I'll run my blood to water for anyone, and that's something I always did. And I got told at the start of your question, but I got told at the start of the sort of the year that they were bringing 2 halfbacks in. We want you to play a different role this year. Are you up for it? And I suppose me being me, just wanting to do what's right for the team. Don't moan, don't throw a little fit. I just said, yeah, what you need me to do, I'll do. Got the 9 shirt and said, you're going to be playing 9, but you're going to be playing 9, but you might play a bit of 7. And that year I ended up playing both again. So,
Well, giving you a compliment, Jordan, when I talk to most Rhinos fans, and this is God's honest truth, I feel like out of all the goal kickers that Rhinos have had, you're definitely up there as one of the best ones I know. I used to see you at Headingley, your kicking were remarkable. So when you think of your Kevin Sinfields, I thought you were a brilliant goal kicker. So at least you've got that something about you that you can take, and like I say, I'm sure you're still going well with that.
Well, you didn't watch me last week then, did you? Because I was terrible. I'm laughing there because if there's any Sheffield fans that were at game watching this now, they'll be saying, "Well, it's not what I watched last week. I couldn't hit the bar all last week. I don't know whether it's the new boots or what."
Everyone's allowed an off day.
Yeah, we're all a bad day at the office, mate.
But yeah, no, yeah, it is. It's appreciate the compliment. It's nice to hear. But obviously, like I said, it probably didn't stand me in good stead. I played 9 all year, and then he obviously wanted to bring Andy Ackers in, who's a world class 9. So you're going to play Jordan Lilley at 9 instead of playing Andy Ackers. I get that. I completely understood it, but I was more, and I tried to fight my case with it, and I tried to say just, more give me a chance if you're not seeing me as a start in your starting 13. Take me as a backup. Take me as a backup 7, and let me train house down and prove it. And I probably tried to beg a bit too much of, let me try and prove it to you. Let me, which most players won't. But I thought it's happening again. Here we go. It's happening again.
That's what were weird for us, because obviously we were losing Ackers to Bradford. I didn't really know what was going on with that, because I know he had trouble with some injuries, but I actually did like him at Leeds. I didn't really understand why he left, because obviously we signed him with Brody, so I were enjoying it. I thought he had a bit more to give. So obviously when he signed for Bradford, I were a bit like, oh, bloody hell, what's going on here?
Yeah, there's a great player.
Go on, sorry, mate.
Oh, no, he's a top player, and obviously, when you get told they're bringing him in, I kind of don't mourn, because I was saying, well, I'm not a 9. I'm not a 9.
Yeah.
Never have been.
Yeah.
So,
I was just about to say on that. Sorry, mate. I was just about to say on that, like rugby league nowadays, you see that many utility players, you end up hindering your own career in a way, because you play well in a number of positions, and it's like double-edged sword, isn't it? You play well at 9, they think you're a 9, you know you're a 7, etc. So sometimes it's a disservice to yourself, that, isn't it? And it must be frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating, because obviously, I thought that I was going to be staying at Bradford, and we're told that that's what we were sort of doing, and that I didn't need to look elsewhere, because they wanted to keep me and stuff. And obviously it happens. It's business. At the end of the day, I'm in business now, so I understand it. And this is what my conversation I had with Kurt. I understand it. I get it, because I run my own business. I get what it's like when you want to bring someone else in because you think they're doing a better job, or they'll be better than what you are. And although I didn't agree with sort of what he said, and it basically saying that I wasn't good enough to play Super League, I wished him all the best, and I do wish him all the best. Still see him when I go in the same coffee shop and see him, and he sits and says, "How's it going? How's the games going?" And I sort of probably didn't spit my dummy out about it, and we ended it very, very well with him. And it's a shame, really, because the style that Bradford play at the minute is kind of the style that I like to play. It's just move the ball all the time.
For sure.
So I sit and watch it now, and I think, oh God, it's just.
Like I say, I did feel for you. I did feel for you, mate, because I did think you were good enough to go in Super League. I still do. Like say, I thought you were, very. I think you were just bad at Leeds with the position you were in, with the timing. I think timing is probably the best word to use. I think a different time, you'd have probably been in there. But yeah, I will gutted for you when you weren't picked for Bradford for Super League, because like I say, I thought you'd tear it up. If I'm being honest, I really do. So
Yeah,
I do feel for you, mate.
Like I said, it's a shame, and I look now and I watch Bradford play, and I think they play a good style of football, and they like to move the ball, and it's all I've ever liked to do is just move the ball about and play and express yourself. And my dad, as a back onto my dad talks all the time about when back in the day, I used to play free. We're not a caring world. If I see a chip over the top, I'd play it. If I'd see cut out ball to winger, I'd throw it. And I kind of lost that when I were at Leeds, because we played a different style, and it kind of probably didn't. Now the sort of the support play and the offload game probably weren't my strong points. So I probably tried to fall into that and struggled and fell out of the bit of a maverick of just playing what I see. And if I see a chip over the top, I'll play it. And if I see a ball to winger, I will. And that's the kind of game that Bradford are playing at the minute. So it's a shame, but it's one of them. I suppose I'm at a point in my life now where I've got my kids, and I know it's cliche, but I've got my kids, and I've got my little family, and my kids come and watch me now, and they're proud of me, and they love watching me play. And I just play now just to enjoy it for my kids and do it for my kids. And I still love rugby. I'm a rugby fanatic. I watch it all the time. I watch the games every single week. I've got it as soon as I finish training. I've got the games on my phone, and I love rugby. And I complain that I won't play past 32, 33, but I'll be one of them, like one of my best mates, George Flanagan, who's still playing at 39-year-old. So so
the fact that his son's playing at the same time as him as well is just madness, isn't it?
I know, I keep telling him, you just try to hold on, like, because your son's there, just try to stay relevant, mate. But your son's now in the limelight, leave him alone.
Yeah. That's it. Just before we move on to some fan questions, mate, because we've got a few of them who want to ask you stuff. You touched on John Key earlier on. I mean, John Key must be the most respected figure within the game, because obviously he's been around for a lot of time, coached a lot of clubs. He's obviously TV pundit at times, hasn't he, as well? So, I mean, what's your experiences with John? You touched on it earlier on, mate. Is there any stories you can tell of us, what's gone on with John Key in the past, or is he just as nice as he comes across on the telly?
No, he is. Yeah, obviously he's got his side to him that stern. But when John's serious, that you listen, and that's what I always have done. But he's always been like that figure to me to look up to, and I've always looked up to him. And as I said, he helped me at a time in my life where I were really struggling, both physically and mentally, and obviously didn't want to play anymore, and he sort of sat me down and made me realise a few things about life, and I'm not going too deep into all that, because I've had a year from hell last year off the field as well, which a lot of people don't realise is I didn't just have to deal with obviously the on-field stuff last year. I lost my relationship, I lost the Super League dream, and there were a lot of things mentally I had to deal with, and but I'm through it. I'm through the other side of it, and I've just finished my 10 weeks of therapy, and I'm now a better bloke for it, and just try to do it all for my kids. But he helped me in that time where I really needed it again, and if I needed him, I could ring him up, and he'd be there for me in a breath, because he's still. So he commentated on the Whitehaven Challenge Cup game, and someone texted me saying, "Is John Key your love child or something?" Because he was John Key's love child, because all he does is talk about you. And I says, just me and John get on all the time. So yeah, he's a good bloke. He's got some great stories. He's one bloke that, if John Key can do anything, he can get you up for a game. the typical one, the Leeds sort of Challenge Cup game. Just the stuff he does. Sat everyone in a room and we're all talking about his experiences, and obviously there were a lot of players in that team that sort of probably played a bit of Super League and then fell out of it and wanted to prove a point, and he just knows how to get the best out of each player, and that's, for a coach, that's an hard thing to do. You strive to get the best out of each player, but not all coaches can get the best out of players. And
He's a good man manager.
yeah, I don't think I know one player that will say one bad word about John Keir, and he's coached thousands of players, hasn't he, over his time.
Yeah, he has.
And he's just the route one. John is an old school coach that just complete, get to your kick, defend tough, and that's what we did for him. And yeah, if I have what to say about John, he's up there again with the legend title, because I owe that bloke a lot in my career.
Well, we mentioned the other week, didn't we, Karl, when we were about trying to get players, referees. I think we've got a referee coming on soon, haven't we?
Don't be giving any exclusives away just yet.
Exclusive. No, but I actually, when we were talking on our WhatsApp group, I actually did mention, didn't I, Karl? I said John Keir was one that I wanted to come on here. So, you know what I mean? It's not like I say, it's all true, isn't it? He's someone that I would like to ask questions on, because he'd had a great Wakefield, Hull FC, were a great coach there, wasn't he? So
that man will have some stories for you.
I'm sure he will.
Being a Saints fan, I just want to talk about that 98 Challenge Cup final when he started wigging out with Sheffield, funny enough.
Never so far away from your man, the Wigan Warriors, guys. I've noticed that.
Don't start with me today.
Right, moving on swiftly before there's a scrap. I've got, like I said, mate, we've got a couple of questions from some fans that they've posted on social media. The first one, I think you've already pretty much answered, mate. Rich Williams, he asks, how hard was it coming through at Leeds with the golden generation of players? I think we agreed that it was timing, and obviously the style didn't suit your game at that point in your career.
Yep.
Yep. Second one, Bazza Kingston, he asks, do you have any ambitions to get back to Super League, or does part-time environment suit yourself with your work commitments?
This is a funny one, because I still get fans that come in my cafe and talk about, it's a shame you couldn't give your cafe up to go full time, but they don't realise that it wasn't all to do with the fact I couldn't go full time.
Your choice, yeah.
Yeah, I had a manager waiting. I'd already sorted a manager out because I thought I was staying, so I'd sorted a manager for my cafe to run it full time while I went full time. So it's not even to do. I set the business up so I didn't have to sort of be there all the time, and my business is. I've got trailers where I take to events, and I've also got my cafe, and that they all can run without me there. I enjoy being there now, and I'm always there Monday to Friday. But I still have ambition. I'm 29 now, so I'm not the youngest player in the world. I know it's not possible to sort of get a crack. I suppose the biggest one for me is for somebody to give me the crack. That's ultimately what it is. Money's got to be right to the degree, but I'm not money led. If I were money led, I wouldn't have stayed at Leeds as long as I stayed. And and same with Bradford. I could have gone elsewhere for more money, but I didn't, because I want to be in a successful team, and
the opportunities.
Yeah, so it's got to be right in terms of you've got to be able to live, and I've got I've got the businesses that earn me the money, and so it'd have to be right in terms of to be able to give that up to go full time. I wouldn't be able to do it for peanuts like like people might do. But to the same degree, I won't be asking for loads of money. So I suppose it's just it's a chance. It's some team to go, you know what, let's have a punt at him and let's give him a crack.
Well, this is a thing, you see, when we spoke about this, numerous times, to be fair. When you think like your Bradford, your Toulouse, your York, that came up. Toulouse, sorry, not Toulouse, even York. Do you know what I mean? If York would have said to you, Bradford aren't taking you, do you want to sign for us? Do you want to be our halfback? Would you have snapped that up?
Yeah, anywhere really, mate. I wouldn't really Toulouse is a bit far with kids now, but
yeah.
In terms of like any of the others, I'd go play somewhere just as I would honestly. I wouldn't expect, with the point of my career and where I am, to just go and walk in and be in someone's starting 13.
Yeah,
I know if it was someone to take a punt on me from whatever club it may be, it'd have to be, you come and prove yourself, and then we'll see where you're at. And I'm that kind of player. When I've got my head on with that, I would go and prove people wrong and prove I can do it. The issue I've got is it's someone who's going to give me the opportunity to do that. And John Key gave me the chance at Bradford, and I went and took Bradford back to Super League. And Craig Lingard's been brilliant with me at Sheffield, and I've obviously got this year and next year at Sheffield. And I'd love to I aspire to be. I'm not just in a team to sort of be taking part. I've already said this year I want Sheffield to be competing for trophies, and I won't stop until we are. And not just there for like people go for a paycheck. I'm not there just to get a paycheck. I'm there to be in finals and be. I want to challenge London this year. London are the team that everyone's got the target on, and that I think are going to be the team to win it. And I want to go and challenge them, and I want to try and beat them and be that team to compete with them, which I think we can if we're on form. If we're not, we'll get the same as what everyone else is getting. But yeah, I think the answer to that is any coaches listening want to give me a chance, then I'll give it a shot and I'll give it 110%. I've still got a lot of years in me, and probably I'm a lot wiser and knowledgeable now than I once was, and I probably know a lot more about the game and how to play the game. So it's one of them. If the chance arose and the money were the right money to be able to go and do it, then I'd snap it off.
Yeah, well, the only coach I hope's not listening is Craig Lingard, because he might be spitting feathers right now.
Yeah, well, I think Craig knows. Craig's me and Craig are quite close, and he knows that I aspire to be at the top of my game, and wherever that may be. And I've got a job to do at Sheffield, and I obviously want to go above and beyond to do what I can for that team. When I signed at Sheffield, I made it clear to him that I did want the Super League opportunity, and that's obviously really what I wanted. And I think you'd be daft if you said you didn't want the Super League. I think you'd be lying to yourself if you said I don't want that Super League opportunity, because everyone, and every lad that comes through as a young lad wants to be on that stage playing on TV. My son asks me every week, "Are you playing on TV this week, Dad?" And like everyone you always want to be playing on TV week in, week out, don't you? And showing yourself off. And so like I said, I've got 2 years at Sheffield, and I'm going to give everything to Sheffield, and I always will, because that's the player I am. And then we'll see where we're at and see if any opportunities arise. And if not, then it's not to be. I'm a big believer, especially with everything that's happened in my life, is that everything happens for a reason. And if the chance arises, then it's happened for a reason. If it don't, again, it's happened for a reason. So I just keep my head down, focus on my kids.
We've had we've had Chris Wellham on, and we've had Ben Crooks on, and we asked these same questions with them, because obviously they went to Championship, and I don't know if it was myself or Gaz or Karl that asked the question, but it was that ambition of getting back to Super League, and like they said, that is the aim, because Super League is the top league. That's where everyone wants to play, don't they? So, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
I think,
and it's all chances. Well, like I said, there's a lot. If you fall at the right time, and we just alluded on my best friend Ashton. He's just got his chance. He hadn't had a club all pre-season, and and I know he's been sat there worrying, because he's had offers. He's not going to be short of offers. He's a good player. He's a player that people will want, and I tried to get him at Sheffield at one point. So
I bet he did.
Yeah, he wasn't short of offers, but he ultimately wanted He wanted to play Super League. That's what Ashton wanted to do. And Ryan Carr, who's at Cass, he's had Ashton before, and he's given him a chance, and he's given him a chance to shine, and that's what people need sometimes, is just someone to believe in him. Ultimately, it's someone to believe in you. I believe in what you've got and what you can give, and I suppose that's kind of what I just need.
yeah. So the answer was never say never, then, mate.
Never say never. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
That's it. Next question, Lil. On Facebook, Michaela Page, she asks, what advice would you give to any young rugby league players starting out?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. I suppose just to always be willing to learn. think as a kid you've got to be coachable, and you've got, you don't want to be that kid that coaches struggle to coach, and you never know too much. I think kids nowadays can sort of they think they know it all before they've even done anything. So I think it's just to keep your head down and work hard. I think there's a saying in the hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. So just keep your head down. And I know players that have had all talent in the world, and some of my friends have had all the talent in the world, but they're just not bothered about doing it, and they don't make it in the career. And then there's players that don't have all the talent in the world, but they're working hard constantly, daily, and they are where they are, and they're earning six figures now in Super League just through hard work. So I think just for any young kid coming through is just to keep your head down, always be willing to learn, always be willing to listen, and listen to the older heads, learn off the older heads, watch what they do, and just train hard, and what will be will be.
Yeah, no, good answer, mate. I'm pretty much sure a lot of pros like yourself, they'll give that similar advice, won't they, mate? Because
Yeah.
especially in rugby league, more so than any other sport, if you don't work hard, you're not getting nowhere in this sport.
No, and I think do you know what? That's probably talking through experience as well.
Mm.
I haven't been perfect, and I'm not a perfect person, and I know that, and I probably in my career thought that because I had the talent coming through at Stanley, and you believe sometimes the hype that people talk on you, and I come through at Stanley, and I was the next best thing, and I was this, and I was that, and I probably, if I'm honest, let all that get to me, and thought I didn't have to work as hard as I did, and I thought that just because I could play rugby and my brain thought quicker than everyone else, and I'd see things that no one else would see, and I could kick a ball, and I thought that'd get me where I needed to be, but ultimately it doesn't, and um, I did not get the chance because or the Super League opportunity because I didn't work hard. Because I did work hard and I got my head down. But you're right at the start when you're first coming through. You believe that you get away with that, but you still need to work hard. And there were times where I probably didn't work as hard as I should have done, and you get found out or you don't play. So
Yeah.
it soon makes you work hard and start training hard.
No, that's very, very honest of you, mate. Because a lot of people wouldn't admit that, would they? So fair play to you.
Yeah,
Just a quick word on Sheffield, your current club, mate. I mean, we spoke earlier, that you wanted to win trophies with the Sheffield club, and you wanted to be challenging at the top with London, etc., mate. I mean, is there any players within your ranks apart from yourself who you think could make Super League?
Yeah, well, I sit and watch George Griffin regular in training, and he is another true professional. The way he trains, the way he treats his body, the way he eats, the stuff he does during training, and the extras he does he probably could still play Super League, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's, like I said, there's a few young lads in our team. Kai Morgan, who were at Salford last year, he's obviously my half-back partner, and he's a really good player, and a real good kid as well. And I suppose it's sort of just I'm just trying to be there and be sort of not a mentor because I wouldn't look at it as a mentor, but I'm trying to help him where I can. And with me being like the dominant seven and the controlling seven in this team now, I'm trying to just free him up a lot more to get the ball and run and showcase what he can do. He's only 21 years old and he's got years on, and I know he has aspirations to be back in Super League. He obviously played at Salford last year, and played very well when I played against him. And he obviously has aspirations. You might know him. Corey Johnson's obviously at Sheffield as well.
I was just
when you were
about
at
to
Leeds.
ask. I was just about to ask. Corey Johnson.
He's reading your mind here, John.
He is. He's reading my mind. It's a
Yeah.
Jordan thing. There's a few Jordans. I was literally going to ask. You've got Corey, haven't you?
Yeah, Corey was a phenomenal player as well. Really,
I wish he didn't
good
leave
round the
Leeds.
rugby. Yeah, Corey's probably just struggled with sort of injuries. I think it happens, doesn't it? And he probably picks up some injuries, and then he's had a bad back. And but you can see he's got the class. You play with him, and he's three moves in front of everyone else, and the subtleties around the ruck. I just need to keep getting him to move out of the way when I want to kick out a dummy half because he don't move quick enough. But yeah, so yeah, there's players like that. You got Joe Brown who were at York last year, great winger. Another young winger in Billy Walkley who's been phenomenal. Josh Hodgson who were at Cass, who's a big strong thing. You've obviously got one of my other best mates, Kieran Gill, who got me to go to Sheffield with him. So there's quite a few. I think another one to mention who's probably gone under the radar. Don't know whether you know him or seen him play. Is Joel Farrell. He's a phenomenal back rower. The stuff he does, how strong he is. He's probably had that same career where just not being given the chance. Now I'm playing with him now. I've played against him for years. He's always been that back rower I didn't like. I told him that when I first come to Sheffield. I says, you used to be that back rower I didn't like. I've come there now, and what a champion bloke he is, and what a good player he is. How hard he works, how hard he carries ball, and that is, is first class. So there's probably if they were given the opportunity to go and be in a full-time environment, train every single day, and not have to go to work, there's probably a lot of players that could. Not just at Sheffield, but across the board in the champ that, given the opportunity, could go and do it. You've got that full Bradford team where, a lot of them were part-time for many years going through with me. And now they're doing it in Super League and they're playing very well in Super League. So it just shows with, when you've got the conditioners there and the sort of the coaching there to train every single day, you get your body in physical condition to be able to do it. And, they can do it if you've got your sort of, like you said, the hard work and the talent.
Well, that's it. I mean, you should by them names you reeled off, mate, and if they're all kept grounded and work hard, there's no reason why you can't be competing at the top. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I hope so. And it's probably something that I've tried to drill in from day one of pre-season is, we're not here just... Sheffield had a terrible year last year in the champ and finished probably one of the lowest they've ever finished. Bradford, we played them at the back end of last year and beat them by 72 points, and you could just see that it just needed a revamp in the squad. And my first message when I sort of come into the group is that we're here now to win trophies and we're here to be successful and to compete at the top. I says, I certainly aren't coming here to be a mid-table team. I want to be. I've been at Bradford for 9 years and we've always been in the top four. So we've got to be striving to be in that top four. And you know what? Everyone's bought into it. We've trained hard. We've worked hard in pre-season. And, we haven't won anything yet and we're still a long way from where we need to be. But we're in a decent position, start 3 out of 3. And hopefully we can kick on Sunday against Rochdale and make it 4 from 4.
No, definitely, mate. It'll be interesting to see how a lot of them clubs go in the championship because it's going to be very competitive again. That's for sure. Just not half. Just a couple more before we let you go, mate, because we've had well over an hour of your time now. We always ask guests about pranksters and jokers within the squad. Is anybody that stands out in your squad, and is any stories you can tell us, past or present?
One of the biggest jokers in obviously the past teams I've been in is probably George Flanagan. When I've been with him at Bradford, he's probably, you can tell by his character, can't you, that he's one of them.
Yeah.
But trying to think, we haven't been together long enough to understand who's the pranksters in the Sheffield team. But there was a story back in the day with the Leeds lot. It might have been, don't hold me to this, it might have been Rob Burrow, this one, but I think it was with Kylie Lulawai. And I'm pretty sure, he ripped up pieces of paper and screwed them up, and put them in his air vents, and then put the fan on full. So when he got in his car, it hit him straight in the face. And I'm pretty sure that were back in the day, and it was something to do with Kyle Lilley and Rob Burrow. I don't know whether it might have been Rob that did it. It wouldn't surprise me because he were a bit of a prankster. So when we're talking about him, he wasn't just like the player he were. He were also the joker of the group and sort of the one that pulled the pranks. So that's one that, when you said
rings
pranks,
a bell, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
When you say pranks, it just hit me in the head.
Peacock told me that one.
Yeah. It's a good one.
I just love little stories that you'll never find out. Just watching the telly or listening to the odd interview. So I mean, for me, rugby league's all about the crack and the banter and the working hard and the camaraderie between players. So that's just little stories like that tickle me, mate. So we definitely appreciate it. Lastly, mate, I think we know the answer to this question. Life after rugby league. You mentioned you got a calf. Are you going to be expanding and becoming Leeds' own Costa Coffee?
That's the aim, yeah.
Other brands available.
Something like that, yeah. Nah, I'm one of them. I just want a quiet life that's where I'm financially all right and give everything to my kids and just live a peaceful. I think I'm at that age now where I just want to live a peaceful life. So I've had all the drama and stuff, and it's time to just be nice and peaceful. Probably go over to my caravan every weekend. I got a caravan in Selby, so I like going over there
nice.
and just sitting in the peace and quiet and playing golf. So I'll probably end up. Me and my dad will probably end up playing golf every day at some point when I finish as well. Get the cafes expanded. Get them running themselves. Get the trailers going as well, and then just go settle somewhere and play golf every day. That'll be all right.
Sounds like a bloody good plan, that to me.
Next time I'm around that area, mate, give us the cafe address and I'll bob in. We'll have a coffee.
Yeah, I'll definitely. I'll send you. I'll send you it across on the TikTok.
Yes.
Full English,
mate.
mate.
Whatever
Full
you
English,
want.
yeah, obviously. Whatever's,
All right, John, don't take the piss. It's got a business to run.
in fact, John, all three of us can meet there and you'll compare because you've got the most money out of us all.
Yeah.
It's quite known that in cafe you walk in and you walk out with either sponsorships, new friends, new business ideas, or all like that. Because Kai Morgan walked in to come have a brew with me and walked out with a new sponsor. So
Oh, wow.
Bloody hell.
if you
So
need a sponsor for
basically,
a
it's like-
podcast, it's where to go.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So I mean, basically, then it's like Leeds' own version of Dragon's Den.
That's the one. Yeah, you go in there and
Yeah.
you pitch your idea.
Yeah, I love
Bloody hell.
that. I love that, mate. But no, jokes aside, fellas, really appreciate your time, Lil, and we know you're busy with your kids and their training, and obviously your Sheffield training and whatnot, mate. So from me and the other two lads, would like to wish you the best for the rest of the season, and hopefully Sheffield can finish as high as possible. Guys, I
Cheers,
think that
boys.
just about wraps us up.
Yeah, it does. And I just want to say I'm struggling with the fact that you're still only 29. It's like you've been around forever.
I know.
I feel like I've been around forever, but I've still got the baby face, so we're all right.
Yeah,
You
there you
have,
go.
you
That's
have,
the main
you
thing,
have.
innit?
I'm actually
That's the main
26,
thing.
as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
going to
there
say,
we go,
mate,
yeah,
you should have just nodded and agreed to 26. Yeah, I'm 26. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah,
sounds
yeah, big thanks to Jordan for his time there. Really appreciate it. And we're back next week with our weekly podcast. And remember, the podcast is by the fans, for the fans.